recruited over 300 new members, scored a win on waiving taxes, paid for independent payments, and a retreat on forced academisation of schools. Can you imagine just how good he would be if he had the Labour machine working for him? Can you imagine just how good he would be if the whole party would just get behind him and we work together? Unity is strength, and that is what we need to make the next Labour government a reality. We will have an economy that doesn't cut public expenditure as a principle, but instead is prepared to invest and participate in the wild economy to ensure opportunities for us all. We will have a welfare system that doesn't punish those with disabilities and supports them. We will have a safe and secure NHS and a foreign policy based on human rights around the world. With Jeremy and Steve, all of this will become real, which is why we as a party have to unite behind him. We need to put an end to the crystal ball lights who tell us consistently that none of this is possible because he was unelectable. He was never going to win the first leadership election, and he did. He was never going to win a by-election, and he did. He was never going to take the London Mayoral, and he did. He will never make Prime Minister. Well, we'll just see about that one, won't we? Corbyn, if he has the ability to lead, Jeremy's founded with, I am leading, I can lead, and I will lead. I would just like to finish this message telling everybody that Jeremy can lead, Jeremy has led, and Jeremy will lead. Unite behind our leader and bring hope to the people of my world and this country for a better, brighter future. Justice for Corbyn!
I'm going to agree with that one. Justice for Corbyn, I'll say that a few times. Listen, we have some comrades who are struggling because we need someone to sign. Is there anyone who can sign for them if they are? Please make their way around to the stewards and come forward, and we'll put their hands up if there's anyone who can sign, and we'll try and bring them forward to support our comrades down here. Just to let you know, we've got the leader of Knowsley Council, Councillor Andy Moorhead, who has endorsed Jeremy Corbyn today. Fantastic! Joe, I said last week, if Owen Smith's the answer, I haven't got a clue what the question is. And I'm constantly baffled because I get people like Neil Kinnock. Neil Kinnock! Not one-time loser, but a two-time loser. Once when he snatched the jaws of victory. Ed Miliband, loser. Gordon Brown, loser. And they have the cheek, the temerity to look down on us and say we don't understand. I think we understand very, very well. I think what we need to do is actually unite and follow what we're all here for. I'm going to bring up the next speaker, who is Ria Wilson, who's a fantastic young momentum campaigner, and Ria's standing for the NSC.
Hi everyone. Thank you so much for having me back in Liverpool. It's the second time I've been here in this campaign, and it's the most fantastic city, and I'm so excited. I've never been in a fire engine before, and it's really quite something. My name's Rhea Wilson. I'm running for Labour's National Executive Committee. Thank you. Labour's National Executive Committee, for those who don't know, is a slightly less glamorous role than Labour leader. It's the body that makes decisions. It's the body that makes decisions about the running of the Labour Party. You might have heard of them recently. They're the body that decides how our leadership races are run. Are they run fairly or not so fairly? I'm also, in my free time, I'm a GMD branch secretary in Glasgow, and it's the thing that gives me the experience to talk about why Jeremy Corbyn is the way forward for the Britain. People talk about what Jeremy stands for, and they use anti-austerity like it's a buzzword. It's not a buzzword. Being anti-austerity is about fundamentally changing how society treats those who suffer most when we prioritise bankers over workers. I see every day in my role, in my union, what austerity means for people. Austerity means having to work a 50-hour week over split shifts, spending 12 hours a day at work at 60 so that you can support your grandchildren because their parents can't. It is about leaving your husband at home with MS for 12 hours a day because you can't access care and you can't get the leniency from your employer to get home and feed him at lunchtime because of the pressure that is on that local authority. Austerity wrecks lives, and it is destroying people in the UK, and to compromise on austerity in any way is unacceptable for any Labour Party, and so I am proud to be supporting Jeremy Corbyn, who I know will not betray my members or anyone in the UK. But this campaign is about more than just Jeremy Corbyn and about what we're building in Parliament. We will win the general election in 2020 under Jeremy Corbyn. I know we will. But it's about more than that. What we're doing here today is we're building a movement. Parliamentary democracy is fundamental in changing society, but it is the tip of the iceberg. We can do so much more as a community that we are building. This country needs us. It needs this movement. It needs us to be in every single part of society, from our parliament down to our councils, down to our community centres. That is how we affect change. Just like in the Labour Party, we must change the structures at every single level, from leader down to branch. We will have not only Labour leader, but the NEC. We will have branch secretaries, CLP secretaries, and we will ensure that this party becomes the democratic, transparent and representative party that we deserve. Recently, the Labour Party has made decisions that I don't think reflect our values. It has priced people out of democracy. It has frozen out hundreds of thousands of new members who joined our party to be part of something. And I cannot understand the decision that someone would take to exclude people from a mass movement, because we are trying to build a mass movement behind an amazing leader and an amazing parliamentary Labour Party that we will elect. We are the Labour Party, and we must elect those that represent our values. That's Jeremy Corbyn, but I have to put a plug in for what we're doing as well. The NEC election closes this Friday at midday. Please ensure that you cast your vote. If you join the Labour Party before June 24th, you are eligible to vote in the National Executive Committee election. And there's 6 of us who are supporting Jeremy and supporting not only Jeremy but the principles that he stands for and just fundamentally democracy within the Labour Party. I will never, on the National Executive Committee, shut down CLP meetings. We need more spaces for debate and democracy. Of course our party is struggling when we're not allowed to talk to each other. We can only thrive as a party when we create spaces for open and frank and caring discussion so that the party represents all of our values. I will never vote to price people out of democracy, and I will never disincentivize members from joining trade unions. I will always ensure that the most number of voices are heard within our Labour Party, because why would I not? The Labour Party is about representing the voices of everyone in this square, everyone in this city, and everyone in this country. We have a duty, our Parliamentary Labour Party has a duty. We as a party will create something amazing. We will ensure that my members don't just get superficial short-term change. They get a leader of a Labour Party who will fundamentally change our society as we know it. I know we will if we elect Jeremy Corbyn. Thank you so much for having me today. And let's do this.
Thanks, Mia, and for all Labour Party members, Mia Wilson for the NEC. Okay, you'll have heard a lot over the last couple of weeks or so about the Parliamentary Labour Party not having confidence in Jeremy Corbyn, and 172 of them refused to support him in a motion of no confidence. Shame on them. But not all of them, let me tell you, not all MPs refused to support Jeremy. There are a core member of supporters and MPs who supported him. I'm going to bring up onto the fire engine one of those right now. He's been a loyal supporter. He's been Jeremy's PPS since he was elected. It's the Walton MP. It's Steve Rotherham.
Thanks very much. It's a fantastic turnout despite the rain, and for those of you who aren't from the People's Republic, welcome to a real Labour heartland. A city region where every single council is Labour controlled, and where I'm hoping to be the first ever Metro Mayor, a Labour Metro Mayor in 2017. It'll probably come as a shock to many of you to discover that not every word that's actually said here will be true and accurately reported. So, for the avoidance of any doubt, I wanted to briefly explain why I'm supporting Jeremy, when many of you know that I didn't vote for him in the leadership contest last year. 12 months ago, I not only backed Andy Burnham, but did everything I could to get him elected as a leader of the Labour Party. In fact, Jeremy had a rally just in the Adelphi, just up there, and whilst we were addressing a few hundred people in the other end of the country, we were getting reports that the queue went right the way round the block, and there wasn't even standing room in the hotel. It should be noted that the Adelphi had their best ever bar takings that night. So it appears that some of you enjoyed yourselves. But during that campaign, we soon realised that members had had enough of Westminster spin. They wanted a different type of politics. They'd had enough of sound bites and triangulation. And the truth is that when the result was announced on Saturday the 12th of September 2015, we got whacked. And Jeremy received an overwhelming mandate from the membership. At that stage, we could have took our ball home and took no part in it, but we didn't. And the reason that we didn't is simple. It's because the Labour Party is the most important and vital part of our movement, bigger than any individual, and the will of the membership must be listened to. Members are the lifeblood of our party, and of course we need to listen to the wider concerns of people throughout the country suffering under Tory austerity. Critics say that those that support Jeremy must be happy to be in perpetual opposition. So let me be absolutely clear. I'm not happy to be in opposition. I don't want to simply be in a protest party. I desperately want to see a Jeremy Corbyn-led Labour government. And of course, I accept that we need to connect with all levels within the party. We all know that divided parties don't win elections, so let's ensure that this contest ends division and heralds a new unity of purpose. Well, feeling isolated within our party isn't a new phenomenon. I've been there myself. Been there when I believed as a party member I wasn't being listened to. Been there when nationally we were pushing through changes that I fundamentally disagreed with, but I didn't walk away. I was a councillor in 2002, and there were times when I thought the national leadership at that time took our efforts for granted. We became voting fodder, sometimes for things that we were principally opposed to. It's a time when I truly understood what the democratic deficit really meant. Look, it's never easy for our party sometimes in regard to the responsibilities for the great social advances that we've made over the last 100 years. On this very plateau over the weekend, revellers took part in Liverpool Pride, which saw thousands celebrate diversity with the LGBT community. But the Liverpool Pride festivities are always twins with the realisation that just a few years ago we celebrated our term as European Capital of Culture in 2008. Young Michael Korza was murdered on the streets simply because of his sexuality. So we should never forget that it was a Labour Prime Minister 49 years ago that decriminalised homosexuality, and we should remember the proud history of our party as a force for good.
You're going to get later high quality uploads. You can go to Michael's Farrell.
Intolerance in any form is anathema to our movement. Bigotry and prejudice have no part in our democratic movement, and as soon as possible we should refocus on who it is that we really should be fighting. The Tories may try to steal our rhetoric, but there's a very different set of priorities, principles and values. And I know not a single person here will be fooled by the new Prime Minister's phony road to Damascus transformation. When she spoke about social justice, I nearly cried. The Tories can't even spell social justice. We are the true party of the workers. We are the true party of the makers, and we always have been and always will be the only party of social justice. I was sitting behind Jeremy in the chamber when Theresa May channeled her inner Thatcher during PMQs. Do you remember when she stooped forward, looked Jeremy in the eyes, lowered the tone of her voice and uttered the words, "Remind him of anybody?" My blood ran cold. I wanted to scream. Yes, it reminds me of the woman who decimated communities up and down the country. The woman who tried to destroy our city. And the woman who said there's no such thing as society. We can't allow Theresa May to do the same as her heroine did. If we didn't have a Labour Party, we'd have to invent one. The Tory cuts to the poorest areas, hitting the weak and most vulnerable the hardest, are ideological. Make no mistake about that. I'm from the city region that's been hit the hardest by the sacked George Osborne. I'm a socialist, we can say that now. I'm a socialist. I never thought I'd celebrate somebody losing their job, but on this occasion you'll have to forgive me for indulging in a large portion of Schadenfreude.
Maybe champagne flavoured Schadenfreude.
The thing is though, Gideon won't be sent on a job search programme or have to attend an ATOS assessment. His mates in the city will look after him, along with allies like IDS and Michael Gove. He was one of the architects of the attacks on our workers. As a party, we should therefore concentrate on what's really important to most people. And it's not internecine arguments that allow the Tories off the hook to inflict further damage on areas like ours. The last time we had a woman Prime Minister, our city suffered more than any other area in the country. But to be honest, the last time we had a male Tory Prime Minister, our area also suffered more than any other area in the country. It's not about who leads their party, it's the party they lead. It's still the party of privilege, it's still the party of the bosses, and despite their attempts at detoxification, they're still very much the nasty party.
What's the detoxification? Don't you see what that was?
They can try to rebrand themselves as much as they like, but we know what the real face of the Tories is. In the 80s, a Tory cabinet sat around a big green table in Downing Street contemplating whether to discuss the managed decline of Liverpool. But they didn't destroy us then, and they won't destroy us today or tomorrow. We are a city of solidarity. A city of fraternity and sorority, a city of truth and justice. And I've had nothing but support from Jeremy Corbyn from day one in the campaigns that I've fought for. Whether it's the Shrewsbury pickets, contaminated blood scandal, victims of mesothelioma and asbestosis related diseases, the exploitation of workers by umbrella companies, the blacklisting of construction workers, that could go on, but he's always backed me. And I've worked with Jeremy more closely than probably any other MP in Parliament over the last 10 months. To do that, we had to build a bond of trust. I've got to know him and his family, and he's got to know mine. That bond is as strong today as it was when we first started together. I've found Jeremy to be one of the most honest, hard-working, energetic, dedicated, inclusive politicians I've ever had the pleasure of working with, both at a local and national level. He might not always button up his shirt or pull his tie straight, and believe me, I've tried. But he's a person of absolute integrity, someone with a vision for a fairer, more equal, more socially just society, a leader who has the determination to take our country forward, to tackle the exploitative practices that have disadvantaged ordinary working class people, a leader with the strength of purpose to say that we should take the railways back into public ownership, that we should ban 0 hours contracts, that we should have rent controls. that £45,000 isn't an affordable home, and that we should have a proper living wage of £8.25. I don't believe that the things within our party, even with the huge surge in membership, have changed things so dramatically that the result of this leadership election will provide an outcome that will differ from the last one. So, at the end of this contest, we need to get behind Jeremy so that our party provides the effective and focused opposition needed to expose Tory lies and deceit. That's why I'm supporting Jeremy Corbyn, and that's why I believe he will remain the leader of the Labour Party.
Just how many people are here? It's huge. It's raining a bit as well, but it hasn't dampened down the huge amount.
So, without further ado, can you welcome to address you all the Right Honourable Jeremy Corbyn MP.
Corbyn's about to step up. Hear it live in Liverpool, outside St George's Hall.
Thank you.
And there he is. There he is now.
Thanks so much for being here tonight. This is the biggest crowd yet of this year's leadership campaign. And while I was waiting to come up, I just received a message from my very good friend, and I'll tell you who it is when I read the message. It says to the crowd, "Send them my best wishes from one Scouser to..." Hang on, we lost it. Here we are. "From one Scouser in exile to my fellow Scousers at home in the finest city in the world." That's from John McDonnell. Thanks for being here. This is a campaign about, one level, the leadership of the Labour Party, but it's also a campaign about the way we do politics in our society. Is it to be the politics of an elite decided between an elite and the media elites in this country, or is it to be a politics of people expressing their views, their hopes, their aspirations for this generation and the next generation? And in Liverpool, there's no finer place to look at the strength of communities and what they achieve. The first time I ever spoke here in Liverpool was in the 1980s, during the miners' strike. Then we had rallies here in St George's Hall. Then I was here with the dockers during the heroic struggle they put forward. And I want to pay a huge tribute to all those that braved the abuse, the nastiness, and the horror of what the Murdoch press can do to stand up for the Hillsborough families. And I'm really proud of the work that a lot of people did on that. Not least my good friend Steve Rotherham, as one of your MPs, and the work he did in supporting the Hillsborough families. Now, Liverpool is a city of culture in every way. It's given so much music to the world, given so much hope to the world. But my favourite is actually Liverpool poets, and the great man Roger McGough. Can I give you a quote from Roger McGough? Is that all right? Roger wrote, "Every day I think about dying, about disease, starvation, violence, terrorism, war, the end of the world. It helps to keep my mind off things." That brilliant humour, that brilliant wit, is what this city is all about. But it's also about determination to live in a different world, a better society, where the poor are not consigned to the gutter and forgotten, but everyone is included and cared for. But modern Tory Britain isn't like that at all. Today, we've just heard there's yet more job losses at Camel Laird, despite them getting a very big order, laying off another 98. Tonight, we send our support to the GMB Union, doing their best to defend those jobs. But we also look at all the other struggles, many of which we've won. I see over there the campaign for the blacklisted workers, who were denied the possibility of working for decades by a secret cabal of employers saying they were dangerous trade unionists. Well, things have changed. We won that campaign. We won it not because of the support of the national media, but the support of ordinary people who stood up for those who speak up to defend them. So well done to that campaign. Steve quite rightly talked about the Hillsborough campaign. He's absolutely right about that. But there's some other unfinished business. We need a proper, open, public inquiry into what happened in Augury and to what happened with the Shrewsbury pickets as well. There are a lot of issues that we need to deal with. But this past couple of weeks in Tory Britain, life hasn't been easy for a lot of people. Philip Green, minister in the Tory government, living in tax exile in Monaco, retreating to his yacht, having not paid the taxes on his company, having denuded its pension fund of the resource it needs, having driven a lot of people into a situation of being unemployed and closing all those stores. What is it about Tory Britain? What is it about a Tory government? They won't intervene to defend those jobs, but instead defend the tax evaders and the tax avoiders. And then you look at Lloyds Bank, profits gone up 101% in 1 year to over 2.5 billion. Most companies that make those levels of profits, those great profits are made on the backs of those that are worked. Normally they'd say, well, we'll give a bit of bumps to somebody in response. No. What's their response? To lay off hundreds, if not thousands, of their workers and close their branches. Tory Britain is what it's about when the profits go up and the jobs are lost as a result of it. It should be the other way round. And then you look at other companies. My great friend Dennis Skinner, MP for Bolsover, and a great supporter of this campaign and a great friend to all of us, pointed out in an intervention on a speech John MacDonald was making in Parliament about Shirebrook. Dennis worked there as a miner in the 1970s. There was then pay, decent pay, there was a full union membership, there was a community around the pit, there was a strength, there was a confidence about that community. Thatcher came along, the Tories came along, they were frightened of the power of the union, they were frightened of the power of industrial workers, so not caring a fig about the energy needs of this country, instead destroyed the mining industry as an act of political vandalism, as they did the same to so many other industries. And what has then happened to that site? What has then happened to Shirebrook? It's now a 0 hours contract company, undercutting wages, an aggregate of minimum wage that doesn't even add up to a weekly minimum wage, ambulances called,
fire tenders called in order to deal with the health and safety conditions and dangers in that factory? What is it about deregulated, high-profit, unequal Tory Britain that we tolerate that kind of thing? No, no, and no. We are going to change that. So we're not going to allow them to blame the grossly exploited workers, be they people that live down the road or migrant workers that have made their homes here. We bring unity of all workers against companies like that and what they're doing. And so we propose something very different. Workplace 2020, a policy we're developing which will require companies with more than 250 employees to negotiate with representative trade unions on wages and conditions. We will repeal the Trade Union Act. We will end the indignity of tribunal fees. In other words, those that have a grievance go to an employment tribunal and are in danger, if they lose it, of getting the costs of the other side put against them and no representation. It's not right. Access to justice should not be based on the depth of your pocket. And we will also deal with the scandal of the way in which legal aid has been denied to so many within our society. So many people that can't get justice because they can't get access to legal aid. And agency workers, whoever they are, whatever they're doing, deserve the same rights as everybody else in work. We have this culture of exploitation and ignorance. So we do a lot more. We want to do a lot more on employment rights and justice within our society, because that is the basis of the inequality that exists all across modern Britain. Inequality of health is one of the worst issues facing this country. In this city, the life expectancy is the biggest gap between the richest and poorest areas of this city of any city in Britain. It's 10 years. If you live in the poor area, you live 10 years less than living in the rich area. The overall average for this city is 4 years less than the national average. Is that because doctors in Liverpool don't work as hard as those elsewhere? Is it because they aren't as good as elsewhere? No and no. It's all about poverty, it's all about bad housing, it's all about inequality. Those are the issues that bring about ill health. And the mental health crisis that's facing this country has to be addressed. 1 in 4 of us in our lifetime are going to go through a period of deep stress, mental health conditions. Some of us will get through it with the love and support and affection of our friends and our family and our immediate network of workmates and others. Others won't. Others will be frightened to talk about it. Others will not be able to get any help. And sadly, some take their own lives as a result of that. We can do 2 things. One is change the mood music on how we deal with the issue of mental health. Reach out and support. Don't condemn. And we can properly fund our National Health Service. The Health and Social Care Act is a conveyor belt for privatisation within the National Health Service, requiring 49% of all services to be put out to private contract. Not right, not necessary, and designed to reduce our great, wonderful National Health Service, free at the point of use as a human right, to a health service of last resort for those who can't afford to go private. So we stand to properly fund our National Health Service. It was founded by brave people. It was founded by a health minister in Aaron Bevan with vision. A vision of the idea that you were treated because you were ill, not because of the size of your wallet. That has to be a basic principle. But it also means properly funding adult social care so you don't end up with an email war between local government and the NHS about who will not treat somebody. Instead, you have a seamless system that treats everybody, again, irrespective of their wallet. But inequality in Britain goes in so many other areas as well. Too many children being brought up in grossly overcrowded, badly maintained, expensive, damp, short-term, private rented accommodation across this country. 100 years ago, Keir Hardie, as the then leader of the Labour Party, campaigned against landlordism and what went with it. He wanted a world where there was security of tenure through council housing. He wanted regulation of the private rented sector. He wanted secure housing for all. Labour councils and Labour governments built a large number of council properties, gave people that security. It was the Tories under Thatcher that started the destruction of council housing and instead replacing it with a free market dogma. I tell you this, I want a Labour government that says our priority is to ensure by the end of that first term of that government everyone is decently, securely and properly housed within our society. And I say to those that say this is all very expensive and very extreme, I give them two answers. Firstly, is anyone really very comfortable, however well off they might be themselves, to walk home of an evening, walking past homeless people begging on the streets? Or do they think there's something badly wrong with a society that is incapable of housing people and forcing them to end up sleeping on the streets? And I also say that investment in secure housing, council housing, secure places for people to live, local authorities that do promote mortgages for first-time buyers, does help to solve the housing crisis, but it also creates a lot of very good jobs in the building industry and the supply chain as well. You can invest in dealing with the social problems of our society, and you can solve a lot of other problems at the same time. Unequal Britain devastates so many people and so many lives. Today is a sad day. It's finally the day in which the Tory government has achieved what it always wanted to. It ended maintenance grants for students in university education. I tell you, those grants and those fee-free university places that my generation enjoyed gave many the chance to go to university from families that had never dreamt of their son or daughter going to university. And instead, it's been replaced by fee rise after fee rise, making university education impossibly expensive and debt levels frighteningly high. Why do we allow students to leave university with debts of over £50,000 a year? Other countries don't do it that way. They instead see education as something that's a good for all of us. If any one of you goes to college and becomes a good engineer, well done, you've become a good engineer. Well done all of us, we've helped you become a good engineer. We all benefit with a safer train, a safer car, a safer plane, a safer building. We all benefit from everyone's education. So can we stop treating education as a commodity and start treating it as a right everyone should have for the benefit of everyone else? A society where we do care about all. A society where we don't just educate and try to ensure they have somewhere safe to live, but also a society where we unlock the cultural potential that's there in all of us. I mentioned at the start of my speech the great Roger McGough and the Liverpool poets. There's a poet in all of us, there's a musician in all of us, there's an author in all of us. All our children need to have their hopes, their imagination unlocked, and give them that same access. A cultural policy that works for all. So in modern Britain, we're told that all that matters is continuing the inequality in modern Britain. Wage levels as a proportion of national income falling, profits rising, executive pay rising, dividends rising. Shouldn't we do something a bit different? And so, after the change in leadership of our party last year, John McDonnell announced a different economic strategy. And he called it out for what it is. Austerity is a political choice, not an economic necessity. And that political choice is being made on the backs of cuts all over the country, made on the backs of growing inequality and growing poverty for many people. Things can be different. But it's up to our party to do things differently as well. A year ago, I'm sad to say, our party was abstaining on the welfare reform bill. No more are we going to go down that road. No more is that going to be the politics of our party. Our party is one that wants a society that works for all, that reduces inequality, that provides opportunities and hope for the next generation. That is what we're about. We're also about investment, fair investment across the country. Why is it that so much capital investment never leaves London and the South East, doesn't get to Merseyside, doesn't get to the North East, doesn't get to the North West? We need that investment in infrastructure, that investment that brings about the new industries, the high-tech industries, the green energy jobs, that brings about a better, more sustainable economy. It's a matter of your philosophy. Do we believe that competition is everything, or do we believe it's the role of society to invest for the good of all, not the benefit of the few? And so, when we raise all these issues, we get attacked. And we've done some analysis, indeed independent academic analysis has been done. One newspaper, I'll leave you to guess which one it is, 84% of its stories about the Labour Party over the past year have been negative. 16% have been broadly neutral, or some would say informative. Not one story at any time in the hundreds they printed over the past year has anything positive to say about our party. The same applies to most of the rest of the national media. Our party has been monstered by many of the journalists who should know better, and news media broadcast news media has been shamelessly biased against what the Labour Party and Labour leaders and Labour frontbench are trying to say. So we reach out differently. We reach out through social media, which is so important as a way of bypassing the monopoly of the Murdoch media. But we also reach out to each other in our communities, because in our own way, we're all leaders in our own communities. We can all help that thinking, that thought process, that idea of how society can, should and must be run very, very differently. And those that say this has been unpopular and no effect, if that's the case, how come there are now 540,000 people in Britain who are members of the Labour Party? How come that in only 48 hours, 183,000 people registered to vote in this leadership election? I'd like to tell you this, more than the entire membership of the Tory party in the whole of the UK. So when we're here in September for the Labour Party conference, let's make sure this is a conference about a confident, strong Labour Party and Labour movement, a confident and strong popular opinion in Britain that will sweep away the inequalities, the injustice, the nastiness of the free market society that only the Tories understand. That will be about unlocking that hope and that potential that's there in all of us. Our changes didn't come about by accident. We won the right to vote in the 19th century by the bravery of the Chartists. Women got the right to vote from the bravery of the suffragettes. We got the welfare state on the backs of all those that suffered the indignities of the means test and the vile injustices of the 1930s. That generation came together to produce something better. And ever since the late 1970s, there's been a new economic philosophy abroad in many parts of the world. The idea that you roll back the role of the public in provisions of housing, health, education, employment, industry, research, all those things, and you leave it all to the free market. It was tried in Chile, it was tried all over Latin America, it's been done in many other parts of the world, and it was done in the USA by Reagan, and it was done in Britain by Margaret Thatcher. The big movements that are now taking place across many parts of the world are about a form of politics that challenges the way in which global corporations try to dictate to us, and instead stands up for the right of democracy to decide that people should be housed. The right of democracy to ensure that all our children get decency and hope within our society. And I tell you this, in our challenges to this government, in Parliament side, we've won quite a few things. In fact, you won't have read this in most of the papers, this Tory government has been defeated 22 times in the past year alone. When they came to try to take away personal independence payments for those with disabilities, the anger was so huge across the whole country, they were forced to withdraw it. But that is what they want to do, to return those with disabilities to the dignity of total dependence rather than the hope of independence that can be given by a society that cares. So it is about how we approach these things that's so important. It's the philosophy of what our movement is about. When we're confident, when we're hopeful, when we learn from the inspiration of others, when we learn from the struggles of others and what they've achieved, we realise how strong we are together. I want our party to be big, to be outgoing, to be confident and to be strong. And say to those people struggling in poverty, those children growing up in poor quality housing, those who are better off but nevertheless want to live in a more decent, more equal society, and those that recognise we have to deal with the environmental issues facing this planet in a sensible, serious and collective way. Free market economics alone can't do those things. Democratic government, our socialist ideas can deal with and will deal with all of those issues. So I don't see this leadership contest as a distraction. I see it as a massive opportunity to reach out to people all across this country and have the strength and confidence for those that tell us nothing you're trying to do is possible. All you have to do is compromise with the Tory philosophy and the free market ideas, and all will be well. Well, I tell you what, our determination is to achieve a society that works for all, not just the few. Our determination is to unlock that potential. But above all, our determination
is to change the language of the way in which young people are spoken to. I'm fed up with being told that the current generation of pensioners have got the best they've ever got. It doesn't feel like that if you're isolated and poor and elderly in modern Britain. And I'm fed up with young people being told, sorry, you can't have the advantages your parents' generation had because we can no longer afford the university education, the college education, the good quality apprenticeships and all the things that you need. And by the way, the generation that comes after you will get even less than you. And I ask myself this question. This planet is incalculably wealthier than it was 20 years ago, 40 years ago, 80 years ago, 100 years ago. Technology has moved on at an amazing pace. Can't we use that technology, that brilliance, that science, that engineering, and all those things to share wealth rather than promote wealth and greed for the minority? When we do things together, we understand each other a lot better. When we achieve things together, be it a local campaign to improve a park, a local campaign to build a nursery, to save a hospital, all the campaigns we do, it's not just that little victory we have. It's a bigger victory because it's inspired many others as to the kind of society and kind of world we can all live in. Our campaign is about hope, is about the aspiration of the good of the entire community. It's about the kind of world we want to live in. There's never been a more exciting time in British politics than I can remember. We learned from the bitterness of the miners' strike. We learned from the bitterness of the attacks on industrial workers in the 80s. We're strengthened by that. We're strengthened by our resolve. We're strengthened by our determination. We're above all strengthened by our collective hope. Coming together, working together, not blaming each other or blaming minorities. That gives us hope. That gives us opportunity. That gives us a world of justice, peace and human rights. Thank you very much indeed, Liverpool.
Things, obviously, so it seems to make sense to a lot of people, so
comrades! Comrades! We've closed Line Street! The police have to close it down! There's over 10,000 of you here tonight! Be really proud because you're part of the movement. I need to thank a couple of people. We've managed to turn this round in a couple of days. I want to thank the staff here at St George's Hall who've been amazingly supportive, and thank you. I want to thank Martin Cummins and Liam Moore who've worked incredibly over the last couple of days to put this on. All the Momentum team, my councillor colleagues, Councillor Kushner, Joanne Kushner, Councillor Anna Rothby, Councillor Alice Bennett, I've got Barry Kushner, we've got Councillor Alan Walker, we've got Councillor Bill Jones, we've got Councillor Doreen Knight. There's many of us. We're going to keep fighting. Thank you for coming tonight. The rain stays off. Onwards!
Just wondered, we've lost, well, not just police, I lost the power on the phone, but it's because I haven't got a lead from there to be showing research. Anyway, it's maybe...
No, I'm not a lead. Sorry, sorry about that.
Well, there won't any more audio, because I'm not sure when you got it, I'm taking the whole audio. This is for City Talk and Street Price, so I might listen to that when you make it later on. Alright, yeah. Right then, so everybody's just... So we came out without spare batteries on the camera, so everybody is here. Right now, he said there's over 10,000 people by the end of it. We've got it all in audio. Sorry, my voice is hoarse and speaking on bamboozle there. So I'm going to give you a quick, especially as I'm going to be matching this video, overview really of what's been going on. The Mac is Jeremy Corbyn's still up there. I can go back to the car now and get it charged a bit and get. Everyone's starting to
Hello!
anybody is here.
Over the baby.
How many people would you say have been here tonight?
I went to the Salford when he did the campaign launch, and there was 2,000 there, and it was more than double here. So that was inside.
Lee's got passed out. He had to go and address people outside because he was through
The one was the very first one he did, and I think it only got announced like the day before or 2 days before, and that was fun. And like, you look at all these people in the house, so it was double that, it was 2,000 there.
Wow, yeah, so that's how much it is.
That's
I think that's impressive as well. Yeah, I've got the whole audio, especially the loss of the camera feed. No one had a cable for one of those charger boxes and stuff, so people must have been them. I might put the audio with it, you know, so think. Maybe watch it today, because I was interested in things like Al Jazeera. Well, they want to show Britain in the more critical light, I think. So the opposition is great. Yeah. They need to stop doing that.
Absolutely. That's why they don't tell you on it.
Yeah, of course.
Because they don't want you to know.
He's just saying things that make, to a lot of people at least, sort of just common sense about how we can all live.
Yeah, but his whole life is lived by his policies. He never compromises. When would you ever see this single politician? I was saying to a guy, you might get a lot of people, but not one person.
No, I mean, that's the one thing he said really, that Labour, well, it's just the right. He's very weak in opposition to the Tory
But
government.
also they used that as a criticism of Labour, didn't they? That it was too left, but actually it was too right, and now it's gone left, now you've got this.
Well, they did compromise on austerity, because Ed Miliband said that he said it was going to be less austerity. So, as it becomes to say, austerity is still sensible, but we'll do a bit less of it.
Yeah, and they also
There's no compromise.
we're not bad at it. It's almost like it's an easy to say you're a socialist. That's how we do it.
If you're supposed to be something very positive, you will try to make it better for everyone. You will try and make it so that everybody has a chance to succeed and support it. That's just a simple idea. Yeah, you say, oh, you're naive. I lived in London, but it was before he was leaving.
Yeah, I used to see him on the Gaza march, you know, and the anti-war coalition.
Oh, in London.
Yeah, so I've seen him for a while. He's a celebrity now.
He came in Stoke, you think, he had to wear a protest last
Oh, did he? Oh, didn't you see him on that level?
He did, yeah.
Oh.
He did, and then, you know, they went off to speak on the phone or something, and I knew where it was, I told him. Then he turned up to Parliament Square, then he turned up, and then he did it. It's in the speechless. I don't know all that on video, actually, so we did get all that. Hi. Oh, hi, how you doing? I know it's John McCarthy, yeah. John McCarthy. He's a mate, yeah. Hi, yeah. Hi, yeah. camera ran out halfway through. The camera ran out halfway through. So I've got it all on audio.
I'm not properly online at the moment, so I'll share whatever I've got with you.
Oh yeah, I haven't got a charge cable. I know he's stopped speaking now anyway.
Oh, well, you stop speaking?
Yeah, because
Oh, why?
I have this, but I haven't got the cable.
Oh, is it a micro connection?
Yeah, that's all that we were missing.
I can give you a little...
Ran out of the house.
I can give you a little drill.
So I'll stay with you and stuff.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm over here with Nick and Joe.
Oh, I know they're here. I met Nick before.
Oh, do you know where that's they are?
Yeah, I just saw him down there. I'd already gone now, like.
Are you going to be doing any more filming, right?
Well, it will depend on this, wouldn't it?
Oh, okay. Very good, mate.
Oh, hold on, I'm charging that. I need to be charging the camera. Hang on. So we were live on Bamboozle, got about 14 people watching Corbyn. So I couldn't switch that off. I had that on the phone and I had the camera went off, so thanks for that. Oh, well, it'll help. It'll help.
So we'll see. What I'll do...
We'll come and try and find Nick with you.
Yeah,
Okay, we can get over there.
Say I'm talking and I'm talking. I don't know where anybody is. I've been stopped around.
Really? Oh, wait.
Anyway,
We'll find a way over there. We'll make it a bit business. Just a bit fiddly with the physics of these things. I'll just do a quick summary on this and then just switch off.
you know, by coffee shops and all the...
We go over here now, you see. Got to get geographic. Oh. We've got half. Right, so at the very end of this has been a long recording. Jeremy Corbyn got, as you would expect, a massive reception in Liverpool. It's a pretty rainy, overcast night, and I can tell you something, there were thousands of people along Lime Street. I've got some pictures of that by the station here, by St George's Plateau. We've got a few speakers on, and then Corbyn did a rousing speech about all the inequalities and the injustices of this world that we have. And, you know, it just seems like common sense, and yet so many people are saying, oh, it's so naive to expect the mainstream population to put in a leader who would simply do friendly things for the people, you know, that is common sense. So there you go. But it goes down an absolute storm in Liverpool, it really does. Obviously, I don't think there's anybody who would think he's not going to get put in by all the people who managed to join the Labour Party. Of course he's going to get put in, absolutely. Again, so it's all about the election, isn't it, in 2020. So again, we've just seen people scattered Lime Street. The police said that they've closed Lime Street because there's a huge amount of people who are here. And he's standing in front of the Fire Brigade Union, addressing everybody, and there's only half of that covered by the news on video. So there you go. Russell Brand, how are you doing? Alright, yeah.
Good feature.
Yeah. You guys have me on video, yeah. Alright, annoying, they only brought one battery and got half of it on video, which is a bit shocking.
I've got a grainy video footage on my phone, like
So
the
it's
whole lot.
going to post it, so you tag me in
I don't think
it.
the speakers, that the volume wasn't, the sound wasn't too bad either.
Well, if you
I think that's Mick with his back to us. I'll just go and say hello. See by the fence.
We're just going to...
No, it's okay. I'll find you.
Okay, well, we'll go over in a minute.
tag me in it, you should be able to see it then.
Right, okay. Great. Good stuff all over there, man.
It was, so I was out.
Yeah.
And a company
Charge.
was amazing.
I think it this a bit earlier, but it's charging a tiny amount now. I think it is, power bank. Yeah, I have them. The cable wasn't in there. It's like one of the authorities are trying to But then it's also because I went out and had a friend dress or something, and it seems to miss what you're saying. What happened to Sky News, guys? Sky News, camera down in the middle there. It's all Radio City as well.
Oh, yeah, there as well, I saw it. Oh, you didn't expect them much to it,
That's the thing, I guess. Oh, right. Yeah, we said that, didn't we? Well, the other side over the side. Well, he's gone now. Yeah, that shows just how many people there are, so not loads of pictures, but to put a video up now, I'm going to have to put audio of the last bit who's on Zoom. I'm going to have to put maybe a slideshow of pictures going on that bit. That'll look quite bad. Well, I got it in 1080 video in Pillar's back here, which is allowed. You can, yeah. So where get the like, I'll just say we lost picture. And then I'll just say...
You've got images of it, of the talk, and you get the crowd as well, and
it'll be good. Yeah, I did sweep around the crowd, showing how big it was. It can be done quite simply. So there's John Joe, I don't know if you've met him. He does a lot of... he might have taken stock. Hi, how you doing? Nice to see you here.
Looking here.
Hello, even earlier. Half of it filmed in 1080. The rest on just Bambuser and audio because the battery.
Oh, did you live stream?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, great stuff.
Got 14 people.
Oh, lovely.
And it shows how battery was. There's nothing that I didn't think of the extra battery. I thought it might last the one anyway, because I charged it all the way here in the car. You know what they're like.
Yeah.
It was a good speech, so I'll have to put it part with
Great, honestly. Good now.
Good for the radio.
Yeah, look, Mick got him earlier in Unite.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, told him Mick.
Yeah,
But he was in Unite.
That's 24 minutes ago.
Before, half an hour before you come here. We walked over to Unite before. And he was there with all the lads starting Unite.
So he might still be there now.
Yes, John, no. Well, I don't know. He's probably gone to the concert.
Probably, yeah.
But I would walk over and see if you can see him there. He might go over a couple of days fields because he was with Kevin Robinson and all that from the HCC.
Yeah, it might be, yeah. I can see who's sure. I want to try going over it.
Yeah.
So like, there's John Jacob, there's John Martin, you know, it's like,
We're going over there for the coffee if you fancy it.
yeah, sure, yeah. Yeah, I think that was like, yeah, doing well, thanks.
Oh, okay. No, don't worry about it.
Yes, I do, yeah.
You missed me online, John. You missed me online. How did you know you? I've got nothing in my phone.
No, but I mean, are you going to do any,
I've got many of my own photos.
oh yeah, that's fine. Oh, right, yeah, sure.
Because if it's on the camera, to be honest, I was thinking, I'm going to lost it or come back.
Oh, that's good, hang on. Well, you got it, but it might try another. Well, I've been over for a long time. Yeah. Let's have a look. It's not bad, it's characterful. Yeah, that one. Maybe better. Yeah, I like it.
I like the mistake.
So I've been down some for shops. Oh, it's easier. Walk with my tactical. Oh, yeah. Good one there. I trust you to good match. Thank you very much. Yeah, he did. Well, it's like it's off here. He is a miserable. Where were you? I got behind the track there. Well, we actually went in and we got half of it and but I got some bamboos alive and it was an audio.
I didn't even bring a camera, but I think I signed something saying to get up there. But to be honest, I couldn't hear very well. I just got to shake it out.
You know where he is? Oh, in? Someone said he's quite a lot of the ideas. Oh, we should come over and all right. I got on the train with him. Okay, by that. Going over for the coffee in the northwestern later. Okay, yeah, well, just there, you know. I know John's gone round, sneaked round, so that's some photos. Well, I guess we should do that with back up. Well, you can. I've already got photos of them Unite. Jill took about 5 or 6. Well, try that. I'll come over for coffee then. Alright, well, we're all waiting here anyway till John comes back. Alright, okay, yeah. Alright, I'll see you here, mate. And you're putting it in there? to check. Isn't that northwestern over there? That?
Yeah, we're going over to northwest. Did you get much footage of that?
I got half of it and got back to footage below, so have you got any?
I've got more or less the whole lot. Well, no, not, I kept cutting, but I was on top of the phone box, so I was able to put it on my steady
Have you
surface.
got towards the end?
I got towards the end, yeah.
Have you got all the beginning and stuff as well?
I've got, sort of beginning and middle and
Not all the bit before it.
not absolutely continuous.
Would it be possible to do maybe an exchange or something?
Maybe, I'll see what I can do. I'm a bit short of time on them because I'm trying to combine. Anthony Fields in Lancashire as well, what little time I have. We're doing, we've been surveying the surveyors out in Haskell, with the comfort trucks, and today they did Formby. Have you got more in Mills?
I haven't, no.
You need to, if you're interested, type in Maureen Mills. She's the one who's organised it all on the local basis now. And it's got all photographs.
Oh, that was brilliant. Oh man, look at your picture. Did you get on the line?
And I'll just keep her around there again. Well, I'll come back in there. So, I've got to take my lap down now. I want to go. That won't be this. We'll have to try the gate here. No. Okay. Like I say, it's like looking for Pokemon, but Jeremy Corbyn instead.
we like a gathering of Owen Smith the other day to Pokemon Go.
So apologies. Oh yeah, Owen Smith. Because what was happening with Owen Smith?
He appeared in the
He's trying to appear as normal as possible.
We said that the opposite order to that was so cheeky, he said he walked to
Right, so there's Jeremy Corbyn. Apologies from 107 News, I wasn't organised to find extra back. We've got audio and everything though. You can just see how interested the crowd is here. It was the first night, all of this area here was completely closed. The Line Street station, there's 10,000 people in the end, but look at it now. The whole audio was captured though, so you can listen to that, so it's included in the video. Kind of lost. There he is. I don't know what to here now. Council exiting. Well, sorry you haven't had a picture for a long time. We're very close to where Jeremy Corbyn himself is here at the end of this rally. A bit disappointed we didn't get all this. Picture. There wouldn't be much of a time to ask a few questions, would it? Because after all, he's a very famous celebrity now. But there's just a huge amount of people over here. It was over 10,000 people. Yeah, whoa, Corbynite. Corbyn Next Generation, yeah. Yeah, see live, yeah. So, what do you hope for if Jeremy Corbyn could represent you for the next generation? What do you actually hope for?
He just makes it go for
Yeah. Yeah, overcome, yeah. What's that?
Where's his live on?
Oh, Bambuza. Or to,
Yeah, where's that? What's that saying?
live to the internet. We're showing all Jeremy Corbyn stuff for you. There you go, the next generation overcome poverty, because as he made the point, isn't it, that it's this generation that's going to be poorer than the parents' generation. And that is something that hasn't been happening over many years. You know, things have been going up, but now under all this austerity, how are you going to get a house? How are you going to get any form, you know, of sustainable, dependable income anymore? So I really fear for the situation in the youth now, unless we can get some proper policies going on with providing housing and security. So. I think he's gone inside there now, yeah. Yeah, well, they want to go in the coffee shop, so if you want to join us in there.
Oh, do they? I don't know what the plan is, whether they're doing that.
Just thought, actually, you know what I've just been thinking, and I'll just say this to the live, you've remained to the end, is that compared to, say, a rock concert or many other forms of fans, this just shows how nice the people who support Jeremy Corbyn are in general, because look how civilised all this is. It's quite civilised, isn't it? It's all quite nice. So can we? Oh, I'd like to get a bit near Corbyn. Oh, do you mind? You know, it's all very.
You know, if he doesn't come out, let's have a bit of the ambience, you know.
Well, that's it.
So yeah, Jeremy has left the building.
It's quite a locking motion there, and that's the hotel. So.
What a cruel rejection of his fan base. That's all I can say.
Well, yeah. Well, that's the scene now. He's gone in through that door there. So I feel like a better version of Sky News or something. So yeah, I don't know. Battery's low on this. Of course it is. He has just gone through that door there, so I feel like Sky News, but a better version of it or something. So, yeah, we'll have to everything to discuss.
I'll leave the charger with you for now.
Oh no, we'll come down, because he's not going to come out, I don't think. We'll go to the coffee shop. No worries. And then he comes out.
Last encore. Oh, I'm buzzing now. That was.
There's one idea I've just got. We could just sort of ask why people are so behind Corbyn or something, which is obvious, I know, but. What's that?
I've no idea where the others have got to.
They're in the northwestern, they said. But I just they're in that northwestern. So they said. So. I'm stupid not preparing it. John said he got it all though, so I don't know, can't exchange with him.
Okay.
Yeah. On video, that is.
I'm staying over at this.
Oh, are you? Oh, nice. If any of you need a lift, because I got my car in the Queen Square line. Yeah. I know where to go because I've actually been there. Oh, sorry, love. I've been there before. I know where to go. So we've gone in there. What's that? Yeah, well, it's all over. I'm a little bit thankful of that when all the things had run out. Oh, why? See if we can go or see if that bus driver doesn't lock before he goes. I think it's in here. I can stand. I could stand to being corrected. Quite sure where they had in mind. Maybe they went into the quieter section. Yeah, well, I've got a number for him. Ah. Nice. Well, it's good. I can just do that. We've got bamboo there. Oh yeah.
There's a big table up the back there. Right, do we need big table there?
Table at the back.
Is that my lead or yours?
That's your lead.
Oh, right, okay. Is it the only one I've got, so I will have got.
I've got them, they're not with me. I've got them, they're not with me.
No, I know, mate. It's just I can't reach out his phone without it.
I know, it's terrible. But it only got like, probably got to the end. So. Top 6. I think it might have run out of juice, I'm not sure.
Let me just put up my phone, guys.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, God, my head's banging.
I'll just say goodbye to the broadcast.
Yeah.
So there's 5 viewers watching a pub at the moment. So we'll end the broadcast now because we've met up with some friends now who are very jubilant about everything. Yeah, you're jubilant, aren't you? Saying hello to the Bamboozer. Corbyn himself was treated a bit like a rock star, I think, towards the end, wasn't he? And people were just going in and crowded around and everything, and you saw a bit of that as well. So it went down really well. I can give you half of this in good quality video, but we lost quite a bit of it because, crashing wasn't there. But I'm going to put it on 1080p video when we get to the internet, so there you go, a bit later on. So thanks very much, and yeah, no doubt there'll be more stuff going on soon.